Everyone, welcome to another CEO Wisdom podcast. Today we've got a legend with us, Brandon Steiner. He is founder and CEO at Collectible Exchange. He's got tons of experience in the business world, working with top athletes and really impressive folks. Brandon, welcome to the pod. Can you introduce yourself briefly?
I can. Brandon Steiner, nice to meet you. Collectible Exchange is my company. If you're booking players and booking me for speaking and other people for speaking, you call the Steiner Agency. Two beautiful companies. I'm not with Steiner anymore. Just get that out of the way. Hard to imagine like Steiner is not with Steiner, but it's true. I love that company, but this is much better what I'm doing. And this is my I'm in my fourth year. And thank you for everybody out there that is listening, that have supported me through this transition, because it's just been amazing. So thank you in advance.
Brandon, you're someone special. You've hung out with some of the top athletes of our times. Can you give us some of the lessons that you've learned from hanging out with these folks of how to be better at life and how to be better at business?
Well, honestly, I think the most important thing right out of the gate is, I think when you're hanging out with anybody extraordinary, whether an athlete, celebrity, busboy, scientist, teacher, mailman, the common denominator is very similar. And that's just a really important thing. I think sometimes people look to celebrities and they're not so much of an anomaly. I mean, when you see greatness and it's all over the place, as well as the lack of, there's some really lazy, dysfunctioning, not so good. And that's important to recognize that, because I think a big part of who I've become is recognizing what I didn't want to be. I think you can always get a lesson and a blessing from something, So when you see something that's just not right, you're like, definitely not doing that. That was a big thing with my mom. My mom's favorite line was, it happens to be the name of my second book, you got to have balls. And having balls, man, not to tolerate mediocrity, not to stop at good or great, but to go to extraordinary, go all the way, hold nothing back, apologize to no one, do everything you can to deliver and be the best you could be. And that's all you could ask. And if you're lucky enough, maybe something, happens to meet up and you hit something extraordinary. So for me, I see the common denominator really simple. And it's amazing how lost it is in this day and age. But first of all, it starts with, it doesn't matter where you're at, you cannot have a level of acceptance. You have to have a high level of non-acceptance. A guy gets 2 hits, he gets up to the third, he's not even thinking about those 2 hits. He wants a third hit. He gets a 30, he wants a 4 hit. I always see Derek Jeter's 4 for 4, just as hungry you want to be 5 for 5. You make $1 million, he's got to be as hungry to get the 2 million. Michael Jordan won his first championship, just as hungry. You can't accept where you're at. If you have a high level of acceptance, only then will it lead you to curiosity and to stay a high level of enthusiastic. And that will get you to, that's what's going to get you to even more success and more extraordinary. Now, when you think about what I notice when people are extraordinary, they have a high level of curiosity. And they have a high level of curiosity along with enthusiasm. And when you think about the 9, 10, 11-year-old, that's what a 9, 10, 11-year-old has. Lots of curiosity, lots of enthusiasm. Now, the root word of enthusiasm is enthusios, and that's to be with God. So if you can find a higher power to match up to your energy and curiosity, how can you be stopped? If you're asking the questions, you want to learn more, you want to do more. You're not looking to cap yourself. You're not saying, I put enough in this, it's enough. I'm a good enough friend, why be a better friend? So if you do that with enthusiasm and keep your curiosity, because there's always something more you can learn, whether it be about your wife, your husband, your boss, your company. When you maintain that kind of attitude, it doesn't put so much pressure on you to be extraordinary tomorrow, but it's what leads you to be an extraordinary tomorrow. That curiosity and that kind of knowledge and energy will lead you to being extraordinary. The guy who's hitting 300 wants to hit 320 in baseball, and he's going to find out the bat that he could use. Maybe it's lighter, maybe shaves the handle, maybe steps up to the plate, maybe shortens his grip, maybe uses the batting gloves, maybe takes them off. I don't know. But he doesn't stop. till he figures out to get to the highest level of whatever they are doing, whatever you're doing. Are you doing that? And the thing I would ask your audience is this. I'm sorry, I'm on a little bit of a rant, but
It's fine.
if you're out there, who is the best at what you do? Who are they? Whatever you do, who's the best at it? You're a fifth grade teacher. Who's the best fifth grade teacher in the country? Who picks up the garbage the best in this country? Who's the best sanitation department? Who's the best? And if you don't know who they are, then you're not even trying to be the best, because if you're trying to be the best, you got to know who the best is, what you're beating and what you're trying to compete against. And by the way, everyone I've ever met that's extraordinary have an incredible, insatiable appetite to compete. So are you competing? Do you know who the best is and you want to beat them? Do you want to be better than the best?
Right.
You can answer that question. That's a good question to ask yourself.
Yeah, I got a deep philosophical one for you. You might have rationality to it, but are top people mostly motivated by pain or by the achievement of something that will make them happy? I know the answer when it comes to Jordan. And then the second question that comes with it, do these folks burn faster? Because I'm obsessed with longevity and living forever. I don't want to burn myself to the ground with stressing myself and always over competing, because I'm competing as well, but I'm cooperating. For example, getting help of mentors like you, and trying to cooperate and learn from what you actually learn. So what's the equilibrium of pain vs pleasure in terms of guiding you to a successful path?
Okay. First of all, let's get off the, oh my God, am I going too far, too fast road? You know, if there was no speed limit on that highway, you'd be going 90. Come on. But anyway, to answer your question, happiness lies on the intersection of growth and gratitude. Have a high level of where you've been and what you have. Want to get better, want to grow. You can go as long and as far as you want. And if you can keep growing, keep increasing your gratitude, you're there. You know, like, listen, I wake up every day. Everybody should be buying my collectibles. Everybody should be using me for athletes. Every product I see should have an athlete in it. I go into the grocery store. I can barely make it out of the store because I think every soup, cereal, milk, have my athlete endorsing it on the cover, on the box. I'm out of my freaking mind. Make no mistake. I'm out of my mind. Make no mistake. And it's painful. You have to figure out the kind of pain that you can tolerate. At the same time, I get tremendous joy. I mean, what an unbelievable opportunity I get to work with some of the greatest athletes, to work in sports, you know, to hustle, figure out new ideas. But is it painful? Yeah. Yeah. If you're going to do it on the highest level, yeah, it's painful. Oh, it hurts. Anybody who's trying to be the best and really do something that's above their skis, yeah, it's painful. But figure out what you can tolerate. Figure out the pain you can tolerate, because almost life is full of pain. I mean, show me a marriage that doesn't have some pain. You know, I mean, show me any relationship or anything you've really accomplished on a high level that doesn't have some pain. And what makes you think it's going to stop, especially if you're not stopping? If you want to keep growing, then the pain keeps growing. The challenges keep growing.
Yeah. Good things lie on the other side of pain, for sure. And yeah, up to one point, I also answer that question myself, and I consider myself some kind of sadomasochist in some sense, you know, so much so that, yeah, I love throwing myself in ultra marathons, and, you know, just the feeling of accomplishing things is very much worthwhile. You've obviously accomplished many impressive stuff in business yourself. I would guess a good part of it comes from the competitive mindset of sports. What parallels can we draw between sport and business? What's similar, what's different, and where's the zone to be at when it comes to making constant parallels with sport and business? For example, in my ultra marathons, I learned ultra patience, right? Never doubt myself, stop stressing about this and that, just keep on running, one foot in front, one of the other. And that lesson has brought 10x, 100x in my businesses. What have you learned from the parallel of sports and business?
Well, I would say, you know, sports and life is probably a little more accurate, but listen, I think execution is critical. You know, get up and just do something, you know, activity over adversity, activity over anxiety. Move, get out and do something. But, I always say, execution beats strategy for breakfast. And I think a lot of times you get this going in your head, you got a story, you got this whole thing, this motion picture going on in your brain about why you be patient and why you got to wait or why you don't have to wait. And you got to try being careful about that voice because, executing and actually being honest and resilient about the results. I mean, being honest and transparent because, you can't manage what you can't measure. So, going out and doing something, but manage it because if you're doing it wrong and you're measuring what you're doing and it's not really helping, the key thing is I got to throw out another one, but it's survival of the flexible, not survival of the fittest. So, the common denominators on business, life, sports, so very similar. Obviously, the work ethic, not having a shot clock, making sure you realize that, you've got to put a lot of time into it. Relationships matter. And you can't always play to win today. You'd be surprised how many of the great coaches and managers give up a few wins because they know in the long run they got to keep their bullpen, or they know that one of their centers on their team is hurt and not going to play him as much, even it's going to cost them today, but he'll be healthier tomorrow. So, you can't play everything. You got to play the long game. I think that most high successful people have incorporated the ability to be spontaneous, have faith in their strategy, have faith in God, have faith that they're prepared and their confidence in their preparation, but also that they're willing to play the long game. They don't have to have it today. You got to have a certain level of patience. There was a study done in Stanford. I'll just tell you this one quick thing if you've seen this. And they put a bunch of marshmallows in front of these 5-year-old kids. Yeah. Amazing story, right? And they tell the kids, do not eat these marshmallows till we come back, right? So, of course, over a few hours, kids start eating the marshmallows. And they study these kids from 5 years old to 25 years old. And it's a fact, a study that the kids that waited the longest or didn't eat the marshmallows when they looked at them at 25 were the most successful. So, patience is a virtue, being able to play the long game, not have to have it all right away. The objective is getting what you want when you want it, or is the objective just getting what you want?
All right. So yeah, we're talking about delayed gratification, which is one of my favorite point. Next question for you, Brandon. So to me, you're in an example in many ways. I'm young. You are a veteran and like everything that you do. You run many businesses still at this age. So quite admirable. And I'm the same way, never would I retire because I have fun doing it, And yes, pain is part of the equation, but yeah, it's just fun. On the other side, you get to relax and enjoy the fruits of your labor, give it to your family and to whatever cause is dear to you. So the question I have for you is, what kind of businesses are you into nowadays? How do you keep on going? And what would you say to people that want to quote unquote retire one day?
Well, oh boy. First thing I would say is, first of all, don't wait to enjoy the fruits of your labor. I didn't wait. I don't know why people wait to retire so they can hang out, enjoy themselves. And I'm not sure hanging out and doing nothing is so enjoyable because we already talked about where happiness is on the cross section of growth and gratitude. So I don't know, man, about the retirement thing. Everybody, when you retire and you have enough money, I'm like, I don't know. I've never really got caught up on the money. I feel like I'm the same guy, which is, I think, the most important thing. Like, don't change. Unless you don't like who you are. I think I'm the same guy. I'm not perfect by any stretch. I'm still growing. I'm still making adjustments to how I run business and how I manage people and everything else. But the whole retirement thing, especially now, since we're all living a lot longer, I would give it a lot more thought about how you want to play this out, because I think a lot of people get lost at the age of 50. We have huge mental health issues in this country. 29% of the people in this country in the U.S. have mental health problems, and I think it's actually a little higher. And that's up from 9%. The average high school kid has the same mental health as a young kid that's in a psychiatric ward. We have people and I think it's mainly because high levels of anxiety because of the unknown, and you're trying to predict and you're trying to force the unknown and your future to get answers that don't exist. You're not in control even of the present. I mean, when you really think about it, what are you really in control over other than right now at this moment, what you're going to think? And, remember that the average person has 60,000 thoughts in a day, and 80% of them are negative. So, you got to really be careful about how your mind goes. So, like, I feel great. I'm older. I'm sure, different things hurt me. And I try to be really aggressive on staying on top of my health and diet and exercising. But listen, I feel good. I really feel just about as good as I did, 25 years ago. But I definitely can't maintain the level of, the amount of hours working till 4 in the morning. Like, that's out. But I think if you're sitting home hoping one day that you don't have to do what you're doing so you could chill, that you're not in love with what you're doing. Tom Brady wasn't saying to himself, wow, one day, if I make enough money and throw enough touchdowns, I don't have to quarterback anymore. Like, I've never woken up and said, wow, if I really work hard one day, I'm not going to have to do this whole sports thing anymore. Like, why would you want to be the best at what you do, put everything you are into it so that one day you didn't have to do it?
Right.
I'm not a golfer. I'm not a, sit on the beach guy. Although, I will do that once in a while. I like what I'm doing. If I didn't like what I was doing, then I would look to do something else. And it probably wouldn't be sitting on the beach or golfing. Show me a 75, 80-year-old, really high productive person that's sitting on the beach golfing, and they're definitely not that happy. They ain't that
Yeah, right.
satisfied. I guarantee it.
No, yeah. And I mean, we've all lived it. At some point you get bored, you want to look at your computer and start to compete again, because we also wired ourselves in some way. For the mental health epidemic, like nothing is truer, than that. Too much stimuli through technology. Our brains haven't evolved yet to this stage. And young people especially, that they don't have the proper education, right? They look at people like Andrew Tate for guidance for reasons, that because they don't have any mentors, they don't have any paternal example when I think of young men. So I guess it's kind of our duty to infuse that in society. Education is one of my top priorities. So thank you for mentioning that. Another point you mentioned, and that leads to my next question. I heard of this 73-year-old guy on Wall Street. He was competing against KKR, the buyout firm, and he committed suicide. That was a month ago. He was a billionaire, and I think that's when competition is taken too far. I think that's when it becomes the center of your life, and you kind of need to be careful with that. What is the limit to competition, and where cooperation comes in? Like, let's say that we would be in the same industry, right? How you and I would we cooperate? Let's take a young gun like Gary V, right? How are you competing against him, and how are you cooperating against him?
I don't compete with anybody. I mean, I'm not. The last thing I'm worried about is what other people are doing. I'm worried about what I'm doing. I'm worried about the people that I love and care about are doing. I'm not going to sit here and start worrying about what other people are doing, because I don't know why they're doing it and what their intent is, and nor what. I love the competition. I think the competition helps make the pie better and bigger.
Yep.
I don't fear the competition. I applaud it.
Same
I'm
here.
actually, if you're looking at what somebody else is doing and you're afraid that they're doing something better than you and you want to be like them, then that you're on the wrong track. Matter of fact, you're sprinting in the wrong direction. You're completely off base.
Right.
To me, don't worry about what everybody's doing. If you're on a team, don't worry about what your teammates are doing. Just worry about how you can help the team the most, how you can get better, and how you can be the best. And I think a lot of people make the mistake internally in an office, worrying about the guy at the next cubicle, next office, players on the team worrying about what someone else is doing. It's first of all, it's not being a good teammate, and second of all, it's really not being smart. It's not really worrying about what you can control, which is
Right.
what you do, and then being the best and learning the most of what you do.
Right. You talked a lot about faith. We had multiple tests lately, us entrepreneurs. COVID was one, then the inflation, the whole SVB saga, and then the upcoming AGI major test that we're going to live. Can you tell us about how you went through these events, and what lessons did you derive out of them?
Well, I mean, I think having faith is like being on a team where you don't know who's on your team, but you got to believe. You just have to believe. I don't believe. Here's what I don't believe: that everything happens for a reason. No, that's not true. Now, you know why things happen? Because you did something stupid, or you were really not thinking, or you weren't really being realistic. So some things happen because you're just a moron. Now, you can get a lesson or a blessing from that moronic behavior, but it didn't happen for, so I guess to some degree it happened for a reason. So, I don't believe that if you put your mind to something, that you could be anything. Because if that was true in college, I would have become a woman. I mean, like, right? I mean, that's what I thought about. So, at the end of the day, you got to put together, a game plan and get the proper skills. And I tell people all the time, it's like, I'm for somebody who's a little bit all over the place, my fundamentals are amazing. The brilliance always comes in the obvious and in the fundamentals, the little things. My time management, I don't want to waste a second. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be living on this planet. I don't want to waste a second. And you got to do the WMI, what's most important. You got to know what's most important. And it's got to be the deriving force internally and in your day. You want to be great? Figure out what's important, who's important, do what's important for, who's important. Do what's important for who's important every day. You're probably on the right track. So my fundamental stuff is just listening to people, talking to customers. I can't believe how many CEOs I run into. They don't even talk to their customers. I'm on social media. Talk to your customers. I mean, you can go survey. I survey. Go and ask people what they think. They'll tell you that was stupid. I was disappointed. Love that. Hate that. And you get a feel for what you're doing and if it's working. Because sometimes you do. Some of my best ideas have not been all that successful. And some ideas that I was a little wobbly about ended up being some of the biggest ideas I've ever had.
Wow, that's pretty much the holy grail of business and building products also that people want. How can you do that if you don't talk to your customers? So yeah, very good lesson there. For all people starting in the sports merch business, what advice would you give to them from everything that you've learned over the years?
Well, I mean, when you talk about sports merchandise, I mean, it's an up and down battle. I mean, teams are hot, cold. There's going to be more parity and more changing of the guard. And it's a hot market business. So you got to be, again, not survival of the fittest, but survival of the flexible. You got to be able to pivot to different things that are happening, not only within one sport, but within all sports. I mean, we move so quickly from something in basketball to hockey to soccer to lacrosse. I mean, there's so many different things going on. You got to be able to move quickly. You got to have a company that, if you want to get into the sports on the marketing and promotion business, you got to be able to move and pivot quickly, because that's how fast the seasons change, how fast the team goes from good to great to sucking. And then you got to know which of the fan bases that are going to be loyal regardless. They're your friends that come over to a party, and they're your friends that say, I can't make it to the party. Some people come to the party to hang out for an hour or two. Some people come to the party to hang out to the end. And then some friends stay to the end and help you wash the dishes and clean up. Now, those friends you want to keep close.
Right.
Those are the Yankees, the Cowboys, Man U. Those are franchises that are built on fans that are not going to leave you because the team did a little poorly one particular year.
Right.
So you got to know where to hold them, where to fold them. And not all fan bases are created equal.
Yeah. And in terms of picking a niche, a sport that can be interesting, we're seeing various sports take over. For example, the UFC, I think, is one of the fastest growing. We're also see innovations that look quite silly on paper, like slapping contests and so forth. We're seeing new sports like ultimate frisbee or jump ball, and all of these new sports. Where are the trends going, and what's the next big sports according to you? Could it be esports also? Like, what do you think?
Well, I don't know if I have enough of an answer on this that really is based on anything, but what I will tell you is we can't ignore women in sports anymore. It's real. It's here. The numbers are there. The level of talent is here, and it's probably worth investing in now. This is not just a bunch of girls playing. These are really talented women that putting their life's work in it, same as the men. It's a different game in some cases. And I would say you probably want to pay attention to women in sports on all levels. Yeah, there's all these other niche sports, but I don't know. You still got the core four that's still dominant. I mean, wrestling is bigger than all of them. You know, that's WWE. So, I mean, there's a lot of things to watch, but if you're looking for something up and coming, you know, it's certainly I mean, you can jump on all these things, these pickleball and these kinds of games, and maybe that works, maybe it doesn't. But I don't know. If I was a betting man, I was like 25 years old, I'd get into women in sports. I think there's a huge upside. I think the games are great. I think the women are really talented. I think it's worth investing in. I'm investing in it. You know,
Right.
my exchange has the first women collectible line on it. I have 25 women, and every month and every year it's growing. And I'm loving it. Love the women, and love the spirit of their competitiveness.
Right. Ronda Rousey being a prime example of that. Brandon, where can people find out more about you?
They can't. They got to stay right here. Look at your listen to your nah. They can go. You know, I'm a big LinkedIn guy. I love LinkedIn. I think if you're a business person, if you don't like social media, even you got to be on LinkedIn. You got to figure out how to work that. And what I like about it is very easy to navigate. But you know, I'm on Instagram. I'm a big Facebook guy. Big Facebook guy. You got to go to my fan page. There's I think a little over 1 million people on there, and I post and do all kinds of different deals and steals. So go to my Facebook page. But then the last thing is for your listeners, if you go to collectibleexchange.com, you'll get my book for free. One of my 3 books. Pick one out, just pay for the shipping. I love the conversation. Let's pick it up again anytime. You know, I don't think there's any choice. You know, help as many people as you can, as often as you can, and expect nothing back and keep growing.
Right. Thank you so much, Brandon.